Suren Thiru, hello. A very good morning to you, except that it doesn't feel like a good morning when we have to read out headlines like that. How tough is it going to be for all of us to take this?
Well, yesterday, Bank of England used a pretty awful set of forecasts, really. As you say, longest recession on record, higher unemployment, and of course, we also saw a really sharp rise in interest rates yesterday. And it's clearly concerning because what you're seeing at the moment is a bit of a perfect storm for consumers and businesses, where they're seeing interest rates rise sharply, they're seeing the cost of their everyday shop go up, energy bills rise, and they're also expecting tax increases in the next couple of weeks. And that means we're going to see both consumer spending starting to weaken, but also business investing is likely to weaken as well over the coming months.
I mean, what are we likely to see in our own pockets as far as our mortgages are concerned? I mean, there was some talk in some of the papers saying if the average sort of homeowner was likely to remortgage, it could cost them an extra £3,000 a year.
Yeah, we are going to certainly see quite a sharp jump. For example, even on the typical tracker mortgage, your average monthly payment will go up by around £70 because of yesterday's rate increase. And we see the sharp increase in what people are paying since the start of the year as Bank of England have increased rates sharply. But one sign of encouragement for mortgage holders is that the Bank of England did say they don't expect interest rates to rise as sharply as maybe the market expects. That's a bit of positive news, but of course it's going to be a really difficult winter for a lot of people, particularly mortgage holders, those who are coming off fixed deals and those who are on variable rate loans.
And for those people who maybe think that they can just about brace themselves to get through what you call a hard winter, how long will this go on for, do you think, before we feel any sign of recovery?
Well, I think next year is going to be the really tough year because interest rates, in terms of impact on the real economy, it takes about a year for them to filter through into people's pockets, into people coming off fixed deals and that sort of thing. So the real impact of these interest rate rises won't happen until really next year. And at that time, you're also getting tax increases as well. So that's a concern. But one thing the Bank of England did project is that they do think inflation will start to fall quite sharply next year, not least because of the recessionary climate, which will take demand out of the economy and reduce overall level of prices. But that's pretty hard. That's pretty uncertain, as the Bank of England mentioned yesterday as well. That's contingent on what happens to energy prices, and that's the big unknown at the moment. Because that's still the largest driver of inflation, and how that sort of pans out over the next couple of years ultimately determine how the UK economy does.
How do these things work? Because we know the rate has been put up to help combat inflation, and we know it's likely to rise again to combat inflation. But as you said, there was talk about potentially inflation dropping quite sharply. Presumably, the interest rates wouldn't drop as sharply straight afterwards in case that then pushed inflation back up again.
Yeah, what the Bank of England is really concerned about is not necessarily where inflation is at the moment. It's where it becomes embedded, and that we see permanently higher prices. Because, of course, a lot of what's driving inflation at the moment is global factors, and interest rates can't really do a lot about that. But what they're trying to do is to ward off those sort of temporary factors driving inflation, like the energy price shock we're seeing at the moment, feeding through into permanently higher prices in supermarkets, and higher wages, for example, as well, which will create permanently higher inflation. And that's what they're trying to target by trying to lower demand in the economy. But of course, by doing that, there's a lot of collateral damage, and that means, for example, potentially higher unemployment as well.